By Crumb, all you men. Oh, wait, wrong character. This is the Uncanny Omar from Near Mint Condition, and join me today for an advanced look at the Kull the Destroyer Omnibus from Marvel Comics. So, stay tuned. And welcome back, all you mentees. Before getting started, a huge thank you to David Gabriel and the folks in Marvel for sending us an advanced copy of Kull the Destroyer Omnibus. This book is due out in the direct market and the book market on November 23rd. But here it is. This is the direct market cover. On your left-hand side, that is the standard edition cover. This direct market cover is drawn by Mike Ploog. So what we're looking at here is Kull, the original Marvel Years comic books collected in this omnibus. As a matter of fact, this takes place before this collection here, Kull the Savage. And I'll talk a little bit about that here in a little bit, but we have another collection of Kull that is coming out on November 17th, and that is Kull the Conqueror. And that is the 80s collection of Marvel Comics that takes place after this and this. But because of the dates being switched around and different distributors, this was supposed to come out later this month, and this was supposed to come out over a month ago. As a matter of fact, I got this way back in June, and this I just got a couple of weeks ago. So if you're wondering why the hell I'm doing an overview of this instead of this, that's exactly why. I got this all the way back in June, finished reading it, and then this just came in 2 weeks ago. But this is coming out before this. What are you going to do? But anyway, here we have Kull the Destroyer, Kull the Savage, Kull the Conqueror. These are the standard edition covers, but this is the one from the direct market cover. Here's what all the spines are going to look like on your bookshelf when you have them next to each other, and of course mimicking that Conan look of that marble stone, except this is a little bluish grayish instead of the brown and gold. And then the back of each book, each one retailing for $125. But let's focus on this, and we'll come back and talk about these when I do this overview later this month. So, Kull the Destroyer, originally called Kull the Conqueror. We'll talk about the contents here in a few, but let's take off the dust jacket. And with the flaps of the dust jackets, they explain who the creators are to give you a bio on what they've worked on, who's still with us. And then on the left-hand side, kind of give you a brief synopsis as to the story of Kull. But under the dust jacket, we have that marble finish look to it. Looks like a marble stone, and the spine right here. All the creators. And a picture of King Kull down there, and then the crown. So very similar to the design of the very first volume that came out a few months ago, which is actually the second volume if you're looking at things in chronological order and publishing order. Alright, let's take a look at this, talk a little bit about the story. So let's open this book up. Here we have some gray bookend pages, and a picture here of Kull the Destroyer. There's the tiger, of course, the tiger gods being a big part of his origin. And the credits. Roy Thomas, Jerry Conway, Steve Englehart, Doug Mensch, Don Glut doing most of the work here, and the wonderful talents of Marie Severin and her brother, actually John Severin, inking her for most of her pencils. Ed Hannigan, Mike Ploog, and Ernie Chan. Now properly in here credited as Ernie Chan instead of Ernie Chua, which is a whole different story. Here is your table of contents. So there's a wonderful introduction by Roy Thomas. Here is where you will find all the books, and of course what pages they are found in. So the introduction by Roy Thomas, a historian, a wonderful creator, and my goodness, over 55 years of experience with comic books, at least not just Marvel, but everywhere. He talks about things in here that happen behind the scenes. I have no idea how his memory is so intact. It's just amazing. He really is a living national treasure when it comes to comics. All of this is an introduction about the stories you're going to be reading about. So what I suggest doing, because I did the same thing with Conan introductions, started reading the Conan introductions and realized, oh wow, there's some spoilers in here. So read this after you read the stories within this collection. Here's the map, and he tells you within that opening that the map is drawn and designed by Marie Severin. So this is where it all starts, with Creatures on the Loose number 10, where Kull makes his first full appearance. He did make one comic book appearance in the pages of Conan the Barbarian. It was just one panel flashback appearance because all of this takes place in the same world as Conan the Barbarian. But if you notice one thing here, Roy Thomas, Bernie Wrightson. Bernie Wrightson coming in and drawing this quick introduction to the character of Kull. And it's just not very long at all before we get to this right here. This cover drawn by Ross Andrew, and the inks are done by Sal Buscema. But the art in here is inked by Wally Wood. You'll see creators leave and stay. So what this collects is Creatures on the Loose number 10, Monsters on the Prowl number 16, Kull the Conqueror 1 through 10, and then Kull the Destroyer 11 through 29. So the title did change from Kull the Conqueror to Kull the Destroyer after issue number 10. Kull the Destroyer just sounds a lot more badass. You also have material in here from Kull and the Barbarians, that short-lived series, sadly, that only lasted 3 issues. Some of that material is in here. Savage Sword of Conan number 9, Conan the Barbarian number 10, and Conan the Barbarian Annual number 3, as well as just a little bit of the material from Foom number 14. So within this first issue, right here, this is all you need to know. Starting off with this issue, you are introduced to the character of King Kull. And here you start seeing some uprising from some of his own people. You start seeing that there's a plan to take him out. And it goes by so quick. I feel like Roy Thomas had no idea how long this was going to last, so he writes as much as he can into this opening, including the entire origin of Kull, not missing a beat, talking about how he was raised by tigers, and you'll see a lot of tiger images in here, talking about how he felt bad for this woman that was going to be tortured, so he put her out of her misery, so he escaped all these people that were persecuting him and ended up becoming a slave. And then from slave, he became a gladiator, the greatest gladiator, and came back to become a king. Of course, there's a lot more to it than that, but I feel like in those 5 pages, Roy Thomas just catches you up to speed, and here we are. Now, this is the guy that's sitting on the throne. This is the guy that people are trying to take out. And the letter pages are all in here. Here is issue number 2. And with issue number 2, we get a new creative team. This is where Marie and John Severin come in and take over the book. This scar is all in issue number 1, how he got it. And it's always a reminder of what it means. You get the lizard people, which were honestly a big part of Conan, too. As a matter of fact, reading this feels like, holy crap, they borrowed a lot more material from this for the Conan movie in the early 80s than they did from the Conan comics. So much so that they borrowed even the villain. So, sadly, after issue number 2, and this is all in the introduction, Kull was canceled. So, I don't know if it was because of sales or not. And then he had some backup stories in Conan, and then some backup stories in Monsters on the Prowl, until he got his magazine back with Kull the Conqueror number 3. And Thulsa Doom is the character I'm talking about right here. And again, Marie and John Severin supplying the artwork for the first, I want to say 8 or 9 issues. And it's beautiful. It's not perfect. It's sketchy. It's dirty, grainy. And that's what I like about it. Maybe it's because of John Buscema in the works of Conan the Barbarian that I'm thinking that this is the way the barbarians should be drawn. This era should be drawn in this particular style. And here he is just hacking away at enemies. He does have a lot of friends, though. Unlike Conan, he does keep his friends close. Of course, one of them, and I think I talked a little bit about this when doing an overview of the Savage, or Kull the Savage, is that Brule is like his right-hand man, and he respects him. And this predates the whole Lone Ranger and Tonto relationship. And Brule is written and described as a native. So it's interesting to see that dynamic. Alright, skipping a little bit here. And yes, sadly, John Severin ended up leaving the book with issue number 9. So you can immediately tell the finishes when he leaves. This is the werewolf story. When he leaves to when we have a new inker. And there's a lot of fill-in artists, and then actually after this issue, with issue number 10, the title will change and we'll get a new creative team. And it's almost like a rotating creative team. So we go from Kull the Conqueror to Kull the Destroyer. And Roy Thomas still writing some of the issues, of course. giving some work to Jerry Conway and Steve Englehart in between these. Sometimes he'll come in and write a full issue, mainly because he was busy writing everything else, and he became editor-in-chief. So here we have the art of Mike Ploog, drawing and inking his own stuff. And it still fits that look of a barbarian. Now, what I was going to say is that, there's a lot of similarities between Kull and Conan, of course, and you can't deny that. They're both barbaric, but again, even though this takes place 8,000 years before Conan, sure, a lot of people are like, hey, that's just a poor man's Conan. And honestly, reading the introduction and reading these stories, you kind of get that feeling from some of the reception that the book had. Some of the letters that they would get. Feels like he's a poor man's Conan, even though Robert E. Howard created the character a few years before he created Conan. So sadly, again, the book is canceled, and then Stan Lee decided to kick off a new era of Kull with Kull and the Barbarians. And I'm pretty sure you all know where this is going because I explained it. This was also canceled, and it's just material. If you want the rest of the stuff, it's in the Kull the Savage Omnibus. So not everything is collected in here from the black and white, because most of this is in color. But they resurrected the title. They were able to save it. Stan Lee wanted to bring it back, and he brought Roy Thomas back with issue number 15. But Roy Thomas said, hey, I'm going to need some help. So he got Doug Moench to come in. Now Ed Hannigan is drawing the issues of Kull when he comes back. And of course, all of this lasts for a while. Kull, the sales weren't stellar like Conan, because Conan had 2 ongoing titles, but they were good enough, and then Doug Moench eventually takes over. This is what the artwork looks like. Here is an example of some spread pages, just so you can take a better look at the binding here. And we'll look at the actual binding, the eye, here in a little bit. Even though the stories are a little dull towards the beginning, and I feel like they was trying to do way too much and coming from all over the place, I think they actually start seeing a vision later on. But sadly, the series lasted until issue 29. And then issue 29, they end up canceling Kull again. Man, guy cannot just catch a break. He does come back in this particular annual right here. This one is drawn by the legendary Howard Chaykin. But don't want to spoil that. Let's get to the extras. And my goodness, there is a lot of extras, such as the original cover, but Stan Lee just was not a fan of the way that Bernie Wrightson illustrated the cover. So, of course, we got a different Tower of Shadows, number 10, drawn by Herb Trimpe. So this was the cover that he wasn't happy with. Here's original artwork from Bernie Wrightson. There is a lot of extras in this particular volume. Character sketches right here of not just Kull, but Brule and some of his other friends and enemies. Original cover art right here. Ross Andrew, Sal Buscema, Marie Severin. I love the color guides that they show back here. Seriously, Corey Settlemeyer, just wonderful little touch that he puts into each of these books. He gets as much extras as he can. So, man, this book is freaking awesome. It has a lot of extras back here that I have no idea who owns this stuff or who has kept it over the years. That is a hell of a collection. Some original artwork there from Mike Ploog, Ed Hannigan, Gil Kane providing the cover here to issue number 21. And then this is the cover to issue number 27 by Ernie Chan, who ends up finishing the run here, like I mentioned. Ernie Chan, of course, a lot of people knew him as an inker for Conan, but he ends up finishing the run. There's the Marvel Treasury edition, number 19, and then articles from Foom magazine, December of 1976. And then the next series will take us into the 80s when they try to bring back Kull one more time. I'm going to skip a few of the extras in the back, like I have been, not showing everything. But here's a forward for the Chronicles of Kull Volume 1. And then, of course, the standard edition cover by Paulo Siqueira and Frank Darmarta. Now, let's take a look at this binding. And here is that eye. The book has 808 pages. It is sewn binding. This is printed at the iMac printer in Turkey. But what I wanted to say is that the paper quality seems a little bit thicker than the paper quality in Kull the Savage. Some art is still coming through from the opposite page, but not a lot, honestly. Well, it's easier to tell in the black and white pages. But it's better than, I think, the paper quality that they used in Kull the Savage. And that's just my opinion. I don't actually have a paper weight or a paper thinness tester. Is that even a thing? I think it is. But that, as they say, is that. If you're interested in purchasing this omnibus, don't forget to check out our sponsor, cheapgraphicnovels.com, your online home for brand new graphic novels and collected editions up to 50% off cover price. They pride themselves on packaging your books so they arrive safely and in excellent condition, as well as prompt and helpful service. Check out the bargain deals for up to 90% off cover price. CGN is excited to announce that they are now taking pre-orders. They're making it easier for you to ensure that you don't miss out on the hottest releases. CGN is currently running a special promotion for you Minties. If you're a first-time customer, let them know that you were referred by Near Mint Condition at the checkout, and you'll receive a credit for free shipping on your next order. This promotion is valid for U.S. customers only. Cheap Graphic Novels, your source for the hottest books with the kind of deep discount and quality shipping and customer service that will keep you coming back for more. And that was the content, the page count, and the build of this omnibus. In the comments, let me know what you think about the story, if you've read it before, if you've got the other Kull omnibus, and if you're going to pick up Kull the Conqueror when it comes out. So we have Kull the Savage, Kull the Destroyer, and Kull the Conqueror. Again, this was the Uncanny Omar. Thank you all so much for watching. And yes, if you have any more questions, leave them down below. Don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe, ring that bell for notifications to let you know when our videos are going live. We are on Spreadshop and on Patreon. Amazing ways to support the channel. And more importantly, everyone, stay healthy, stay safe, and much love.